Let's explore various historical concepts.
Various hysterical concepts? Well, it can only mean one thing. It's Eric Dubay time, everyone. The man who thinks he's the smartest mother lover on the planet and is easily one of the dumbest pieces of crap to ever disgrace the sanctity of the internet. A man so dumb, he's convinced that dinosaurs aren't real. So idiotic that NASA is an evil organization there only to trick you. And of course, enough of a massive dumbass that he actually thinks that the earth is flat, and other way more fucked up ideas, cough, Holocaust denial, cough, cough, all while spouting the most obviously ignorant shit ever. And then of course his little fans come and tell me, no, you're the dumb one for understanding how reality works. I mean, fair point. I haven't written multiple gibberitic books on subjects I either don't understand or just plain don't make any sense whatsoever. So, fair point.
That have been used to uphold and validate the theory of evolution.
These historical concepts uphold evolution. No, science and research and experimentation and all that other jazz uphold evolution. You know why that is? Because, right, evolution is a fact, and we have a metric shit ton of supporting evidence backing that up. I know, having to actually support your claims. Completely foreign concept to Eric and all his flirty little friends.
I'm confident that these findings...
You? Confident about something? Well, I never. The most smug, arrogant man on the planet who spends endless hours claiming to have refuted basically all of science in every facet while having absolutely nothing to show for it. No functional models of reality, no predictions that come out accurate, and certainly no findings that weren't already known and made using science that he doesn't think is real because of how smart he is. That guy is confident about something. I simply don't believe it.
And key historical events which have been instrumental in shaping my own perspective.
My God, I can't imagine what they are if they shaped your perspective. Some kind of gibberish facts from a big book of nonsense. Endless misunderstandings and or misrepresentations of historical facts. And of course, nothing even remotely scientific. I mean, why base your opinions on facts when you could be a special snowflake who knows the real facts, TM? What does it matter that none of them make any sense whatsoever? That's not important. Pretending that you're right is important.
Will similarly assist others in questioning and ultimately rejecting this theory entirely.
Assist is a bit of a strong word. I think what you really mean is cause the ignorant, the desperate, and the stupid to come to false conclusions while telling them never, never, never learn anything that is actually factual about the world, especially if it contradicts what I say. Do you think these guys ever wonder why they are incapable of doing things better than the people using the, real science? It's weird that all they ever seem to produce is videos explaining how they are smart and everyone else are all dumb. And very literally nothing else. And how do they know that they're right? Well, look at all the videos from people who agree with me, because that's how facts work.
By discarding this obstructive theory, we can eliminate barriers that hinder our pursuit of truth.
Translation: by discarding a thing that works and describes the world and how it works accurately, we can insert our nonsense hypothesis and outright garbage ideas in its place. And now that there is nothing there, we get to be right for no reason, because that's how science works. If you don't have an explanation for something, that means that whatever I say must be true. Because why would I ever say I don't know something? Then people wouldn't know how smart I'm pretending to be.
Freeing ourselves from the constraints it imposes.
It doesn't impose any constraints other than, right, I guess it does have one absolutely devastating constraint. It has to be true. And if the things I say have to be true, how will I ever be able to lie to my audience about the fact that I'm not actually smarter than broccoli? No, can't do that, won't do it. Facts must be destroyed by any means necessary.
This liberation allows us to transcend the notion.
He really is hyping the shit out of this. It's like he's pre-polishing this turd to an absolute mirror shine. And you know what they say, if you have to bang on and on and on about how amazing something is before, saying it, that means it must be the best thing ever. Everyone knows that the best ideas can't stand on their own and show their worth without someone jabbering about how amazing they are. No.
That the world's diverse array of complex life forms are merely the result of time and chance.
I mean, sure, time is involved, but time is involved in absolutely everything. But saying mere chance about evolution by natural selection means I know for a fact you know nothing about evolution via natural selection. It is not the result of chance. It is the result of forces. Things don't just sit there and randomly change into whatever thing for no reason. They adapt to their environment, and if they don't, they go extinct. So these creatures that exist today are the result of multitudes of changes that allow them to survive in various forms to this day. Chance is basically the smallest part of it.
This prevailing scientific theory represents a significant obstacle, impeding our ability to move beyond the limitations of an inherently flawed naturalistic philosophy.
Evolution isn't a philosophy, it's a science, and science also is not really a philosophy either. It's a methodology, it's a way of doing something, and both of them, sure, do function based on the idea that nature is a real thing that you can test and gives repeatable results, because it does do that. But at the end of the day, it's testing what can be tested, and that's what's in the natural world. Anything beyond that is by definition supernatural, and thus cannot be tested, and is as a matter of course not science. We could get into that all day, but that's not what Eric does. He is sure that he can prove these things wrong, which means that he will have to prove it wrong in some kind of natural sense, because otherwise, what the fuck is he even talking about?
It limits our comprehensive understanding and hinders us from embracing the profound realization that a creative force beyond comprehension has shaped the world we inhabit.
Ah, there it is. The things that describe reality make my really silly ideas about how a god-man does the real and makes the universe sound really, really dumb. Especially when the book about him makes endless mistakes and is incapable of saying anything about the formation of the universe that isn't hilariously and obviously wrong. Look, dude, if you want to believe in some horseshit version of how everything came to be, that's fine. But maybe accept that it's not written by people who understand anything about the functioning of the universe. And it was in fact written by people who knew almost nothing about it, and that's being really generous.
And is the sole author of all our experiences.
I gotta wonder if Eric is one of those no, I totally have free will people, and yet believes wholeheartedly that there's not a thing that he has ever done that God didn't meticulously plan out. It can't be both ways, FYI. No matter what you think, if God knows everything, then you can't make a decision he didn't already know and plan for you to make. It's like saying that prisoners are free because when they get locked in their cells, they have to stay in there. Like, what?
To begin, I will present some of my favorite quotes that I've accumulated over the years, reflecting my own examination, consideration, and eventual rejection of this theory.
Ah, quotes. The exact same thing as testable, repeatable evidence. That thing that Eric constantly claims to have while never actually providing any. But quotes. He got quotes for days. Whether that be things that actually agree with him or are just misunderstandings that are saying something he simply has not grasped. It doesn't matter because none of them prove anything other than a person said that. You know, unless they didn't. Because that's always completely possible. Just ask Abraham Lincoln. That dude knew what was up.
Ironically, let's begin with none other than Charles Darwin himself.
Oh, I forgot to mention out-and-out quote mines. I mean, seriously, what else is this going to be other than, look, this guy say the thing. And then when you look at the actual context of the thing they said, again, if they said it at all, it is clear that whatever meaning the person is ascribing to it is obviously wrong. And there's only two reasons why one would use that. A, because someone said it to them, and they look no further because they are as intellectually curious as a sponge. Or B, they found the quote, they know that there are important words on either side of it, but they also know that their audience is the aforementioned sponge, perfect for filling with their false statements and intentionally faulty logic. So why bother?
The renowned pioneer of the theory of evolution, who introduced his ideas in 1859 through his seminal work on the origin of species.
That's pretty much correct, although, do you know what he didn't do in it? Say, it's a load of bollocks actually. I was making it up because of how much I don't believe in God and want other people to stop believing him too for no reason. Also, the earth is flat, probably.
Charles Darwin said, "To suppose that the eye, with all its inimitable contrivances for adjusting the focus to different distances, for admitting different amounts of light, and for the correction of spherical and chromatic aberration, could have been formed by natural selection, seems, I freely confess, absurd in the highest degree."
Fuck, it's barely even a quote mine. Not even smart enough to hide the obvious caveat that is clearly part of it. I mean, for one, this is early days when ideas like this were first starting to take hold and everyone else was happy with the God did it idea. So to many, it might seem absurd. But there's that word, seem. It's almost like it isn't absurd to the highest degree, but only to one whose mindset is based on a universe that must have a creator. Well, they might have a difficult time accepting such an idea. Seriously, this was something that made you think that evolution isn't real. Damn, your reading comprehension is actually way worse than I thought it would be. Fuck.
Louis Bonheur said, "Evolution is a fairy tale for grown-ups. This theory has helped nothing in the progress of science. It is useless."
Well, I have heard that one before, although not from whoever the hell that guy is. The one I covered was an actual scientist and everything, and he was just as wrong about it. Can't even find who this Louis guy is, but I can only assume he's just as not qualified to talk on biology as the chemist from my video was. I mean, anyone who thinks evolution has done nothing for science knows nothing about evolution, and probably not all that much about science either. Or at the very least, not as much as they fucking should.
Malcolm Muggeridge said, "I myself am convinced that the theory of evolution, especially the extent to which it's been applied, will be one of the great jokes in the history books of the future."
And I myself think that Eric Dubay won't even get as high as being a joke in the future. He will be as much of a nobody as any other crank who knows fuck all about anything. But evolution will be just fine. In fact, I'm willing to bet absolutely real 500 quid that evolution will be anything but a joke. I'll take my payment in future space bucks right now after your lot has totally invented time travel, since you're all so much fucking smarter than everyone else.
Posterity will marvel that so very flimsy and dubious a hypothesis could be accepted with the incredible credulity that it has.
It's not accepted with credulity, it's been tested to the nth degree, and it has withstood those tests time and time and time again. And things that it replaced and things that attempt to replace it, shockingly, have not. This motherfucker is talking about creationism, if anything else, except it's a joke right now. Imagine just how nonsensical it will seem that anyone believed that shit in 1,000 years. I hope. Can't really count on humans not buying into stupid shit all the time now, can we? Fuck.
Dr. Colin Patterson said, "No one has ever produced a species by mechanisms of natural selection. No one has ever gotten near it, and most of the current argument in neo-Darwinism is about this question."
No, it fucking isn't. That was actual gibberish. Natural selection is what happens in nature. The idea that someone could force nature to do natural selection somehow is the most idiotic statement that anyone has ever fucking said in regards to evolution. And the fact is, humans absolutely have done artificial selection to things, but shockingly enough, that's not natural selection. And anyone who thinks that this is the question in biology debates knows nothing about biology, and probably fuck all about debates to boot.
Adnan Akhtar said, "The complexity and intricacy of living organisms cannot be explained solely by chance and natural processes. There must be a higher intelligence behind their creation."
It doesn't, but that's because that's not a description of natural selection or evolution. Amazing that most of the quotes that you have chosen are from people who are so severely ignorant of the things they choose to speak on, so confidently, and yet you haven't even quoted yourself.
The theory of evolution, formulated by Charles Darwin, posits that all species of organisms have descended from a common ancestor through gradual changes over long periods of time, encapsulated in 4 primary concepts.
You know, it's weird that he can reasonably define evolution and yet immediately then goes, but it didn't happen because me no like it. Also, there's 4 things. Not sure I've heard it described that way, but let's see if it's not completely stupid, shall we?
1. Descent with modification. Species change over time, and new species arise from pre-existing ones through a process called descent with modification.
Okay, so far so good. That is a thing that is still used today within the bounds of evolutionary research and explanations and all that jazz, etc.
2. Natural selection. The driving force behind evolution is natural selection. individuals with advantageous traits are more likely to survive, reproduce, and pass on these traits to future generations.
Yep, again saying something accurate, so not much for me to interject. Yet.
3. Common ancestry. All living organisms share a common ancestry, and the diversity of life on Earth is a result of branching and diversification over millions of years.
Cool. You know, it's so weird that the man can say things that are factually accurate. I mean, he is going to say, but no, because my book. But still, it's just strange to hear facts from this guy. Twilight Zone shit.
4. Gradualism. Evolution occurs gradually through the accumulation of small changes over long periods of time, leading to the formation of new species.
100%, all of those things are used today within the evolutionary framework to explain how the diversity of life on Earth came to be. 4 out of 4, no notes.
The theory of evolution posits that the diversity and complexity of life can be explained by natural processes, without the need for supernatural intervention.
And there's where you f*** it up. It actually at no point claims that there is no need for supernatural intervention. It doesn't mention it at all because it's irrelevant. But the fact is, there could absolutely be natural selection with supernatural forces involved. If God started all the things with his magic knowing powers, then one could absolutely posit that God did evolution. Or that he's not doing anything on purpose, but made evolution work the way it does, but just without any idea of what would result. Or many other ways that there could be a God, while evolution, the fact that it is, remains true. You know, it's this kind of complete lack of imagination that baffles me about people who are genuinely convinced that they have an imaginary friend. It's so contradictory. Damn.
However, considerable doubt persists regarding the fundamental concept that one species can gradually transform into a completely different species over time.
Only in people who don't understand and accept the theory of evolution. And mind, things don't become scientific theories unless we are really fucking damn sure they are real things. So yeah, the only people who think it am not real are the ones who don't know enough about it to have an opinion on it.
Skepticism is further fueled by historical examples that often rely on highly speculative interpretations, requiring a significant degree of faith to even be considered plausible.
The fact that you would use the word faith as a bad thing, and then in the same breath be like, but you know God though, is fucking wild. Also, it's hardly speculation. Things are looked at and compared and contrasted, evidence is gathered, and it goes together. We don't think evolution is real because of some handful of examples that maybe show it. We know it's true because of countless examples showing the gradual development of various animals across the globe over time. To say that this shit is speculation is saying that the existence of humans is speculation, because there's only a few of them in any given home.
Instead of categorizing certain discoveries as entirely new species, or simply small variations within existing species, they are often labeled as transitional forms.
Everything is a transitional form, and yes, when something isn't an entirely new species, we don't just go, fuck it, let's call it one anyway. Things are diligently categorized and catalogued, put in its proper place. Actual work is done. Countless, and I mean literally unfucking countable man hours have gone into making sure this idea is as accurate as possible. Such a robust idea that any and all attempts to challenge its validity have fallen flat. And no, not because you can't question Darwin, but because they universally fail to come even remotely close to making a dent in the goddamn thing, because it is simply that robust. And idiots like you who think they can debunk it by simply saying, nuh-uh, look at all my quotes, do even less damage to that shit.
This labeling is a common practice among evolutionists attempting to establish intermediate connections in the evolutionary chain. This entirely speculative process forms the foundation of the theory.
Frankly, your lack of understanding is not the basis for anything. And there is no attempt. It's an observation. It's just there. It's how it's categorized. And you not liking it is fucking irrelevant to how they do so. If you have a problem with it, go out there. Go get a degree in biology. Get a full understanding of evolution and then tear it to shreds with your mighty knowledge. You won't do that, not because if you did, you'd soon learn, oh shit, it's real, but because you are too fucking stupid to get a degree in advanced putting shapes into the right hole, let alone anything actually challenging.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the...